Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. And before we get into the content for today, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holidays. I hope you're all having a fantastic Christmas if you celebrated, whatever other holidays you may be celebrating. And of course, Happy New Year coming up this week. So very awesome. The next video you will see will be from me in the New Year. So that's awesome. Also, wanted to apologize for not uploading a Funko Friday this past week. Just mentally wasn't really feeling it this week, so it's not something I really wanted to do. And I've always said, especially recently, if I don't want to upload, if I don't want to record, I'm not going to. So yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, nonetheless, let's get into today's video. We're going to be ranking every movie I watched last week. And I'm going to kind of do it a little bit quickly for you guys today, just because I do need to go to bed soon, because I work in about 8 hours. So, anyways, let's get into it, starting it off with my least favorite watch of the week, which was Maxine, which is a movie I've been wanting to watch all year. And I think the biggest crime about this movie is the fact that there was no marketing for it at all. Not that I had seen, at least. Like, I rarely ever seen any sort of marketing for it. And I also never got to see it in theaters because it didn't come to theaters near me, which was annoying. Now, I don't live in the biggest city, but I don't live in, like, a small town. So we have 2 movie theaters, and neither of them had got this movie. And truthfully, I didn't even know when it came out. So yeah, I don't know if that's my fault. Whatever. I didn't love this movie. It was fine, though. It was just okay. I ranked it a 49 out of 100. Let's move on to a disappointment, truthfully, which is Anora. It's been getting a lot of buzz lately for how amazing it is and how wonderful the performance from Mikey Madison is, which, although I do believe it is pretty great, I just don't think this movie's very entertaining at all, and I really didn't think this movie was for me, especially considering half of this movie, at least the way that I had watched it, half of this movie's in Russian with no subtitles, so I just have no idea what is going on. It was very funny to start off with, but I find it loses that humor, and it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't go well, I guess, for the rest of the movie. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy this one, unfortunately, so it was okay as well with a 54 out of 100. Let's move on to Red Nose Day, actually, and this is just a cute little short film, kind of just going over where everyone's at nowadays, or as a sequel from Love Actually, which is kind of cool. But yeah, 55 out of 100. Let's move on to Nacho Libre, which is a movie I've been wanting to watch for quite some time, considering it is a wrestling movie and I have not watched it. I even went through a wrestling movie phase earlier this year and never watched it. But nothing too special or too funny. I didn't find most of the comedy land for me at all, but every once in a while there was a chuckle, but really it kind of held my interest and I was intrigued. I don't know if it's just because it's wrestling or lucha wrestling, but yeah, it was okay. It was decent. 67 out of 100. Let's move on to Elf. Now, I will say, hi Betty. I don't know if you guys can see her. I will say, with Elf, I wasn't fully paying attention to this, but it's a movie I've seen countless times, and truthfully, it was kind of on in the background while I was setting something up, so it might not get the rating it deserves, or you may feel it deserves, so sorry. I rank it a 71 out of 100. I do think it's a good movie. Lots of decent chuckles as well, where I feel like I don't like Will Ferrell's comedy that much, but truthfully I haven't really experienced much of it either, so I gotta kind of do that more next year maybe, but nonetheless, I enjoyed Elf. Let's move on to That Christmas, which is an interesting Christmas movie with a very different story and a unique story for Christmas, I feel. Although it's also not that unique, it's still the trying to get home in time for Christmas, but it's got a lot of different elements and a few different storylines that are kind of interwoven together, and truthfully, I just had a good time with this. I enjoyed the animation, I liked the movie. 76 out of 100. It's also a 2024 release, so I'd recommend watching it next year if you're done your Christmas movies. Let's move on to No Time to Die. I finally finished the Bonds this week after like almost 3 months since October, I think, is when I started these Bonds. So glad to say I've finally done them. But No Time to Die, great send-off, to be honest. A wild conclusion to the character of James Bond, and a pretty sad one at that as well. Now, as someone that has gone through these 27 movies over the past few months and not really feeling connected to Bond that much, like the death really, sorry, spoilers I guess, the death really didn't do anything for me. Kind of sucks because I never really felt invested into this character. Maybe if it was the same actor across, I don't know, but yeah, overall I really just didn't. I have never really felt that much of an investment into the Bond franchise, which kind of sucks because I would like to, but I just don't. So a 78 out of 100. Oh, I still enjoyed it. Let's move on to Spectre, which, fun fact for you, this was the first and only Bond movie I'd seen prior to watching all of these movies. I'd seen it in theaters long ago with my parents, and finally got around to it again. Rewatched it, really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it was going to. I ranked it an 80 out of 100, which means, really, I mean, the Daniel Craig movies are just the best, in my opinion. They were the ones that I enjoyed the most, at least. So, slay. Let's move on to Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, where Mel and I, Friday night, we ended up having a double feature of both Mamma Mias, which was pretty sweet. We could watch them in order as well, obviously, which was a lot of fun. It was a really fun night because both of these movies were very fun movies. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, I ranked an 86 out of 100. I don't really think there's much wrong with this movie. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one, which we'll talk about later on. So, also, to anyone that thinks this movie's better than the first one, good for you, but I don't. I personally don't, and I disagree with you. Let's move on to It's a Wonderful Life, which is the first time I've ever watched this movie. I've heard things about it being slow and about it being boring, but it held my interest pretty much all throughout this movie, and I really had a great time with it, and it turns out to be one of my favorite black and white movies as well, which I made a list on my Letterboxd. If you're not following my Letterboxd, follow it, link in the description. I made a list of every black and white film I've watched, and this turns out to be, I think, number 4 or 5. I know it's top 5, but yeah, very cool. Shout out to It's a Wonderful Life. Also, a little bit of an emotional message I added in this as well, if you feel like reading. So let's move on to The Substance, which was a really great watch, one that I really enjoyed, but sadly the ending just did not land for me, and it lost a lot of points for that. I ranked it an 88 out of 100, but I really didn't love the ending, and it just didn't really sit well with me. I didn't think it was a great way to end, and that really sucks because I was really enjoying this movie, and it would have been probably top 5 movies of the year for me if the ending didn't go the way it did, because again, I just didn't really enjoy the ending a whole lot, so that kind of sucks. But 88 out of 100 for The Substance, and I am now obsessed with Margaret Qualley. Let's move on to, oh no, not the top 3, sorry. We are in the top 5 though, so let's move on to Snack Shack, another 2024 release, which is one I've been wanting to watch for a little while now. And man, what a great movie. I ranked it an 89 out of 100. One of my favorites of the year. Just a very fun movie that I had a lot of a good time with. It was just a lot of fun. A very interesting story with a lot of fun friendship moments, which a lot of this movie is just friendship, which I really enjoyed. It was nice to see. So, sorry, don't mind Betty. She's trying to get into my closet. You probably can't see her, actually, but that's what you hear. Nonetheless, 89 out of 100 for Snack Shack. Let's move on to now the top three, starting it off with Skyfall. Without a doubt, my favorite Bond movie, probably the best looking Bond movie, a absolute cinematography masterclass. It looked absolutely stunning and wonderful to look at. I had a really great time watching it. A pretty awesome score as well, plus probably the best action in the franchise as well. Really, there's really not much to go wrong with Skyfall. A really, really great movie, and it's my parents' favorite Bond, so no surprise that it's my favorite as well, I guess. Let's move on to number two, which is Mamma Mia, which I ranked a 98 out of 100, now in the list of 5-star movies. And this is the second time I've watched it. Mel and I watched it when we first started seeing each other in August last year, and I haven't seen it since. So it's been a little over a year, and it's been a movie we've been talking about a lot recently. We both really wanted to rewatch it, especially me. I really wanted to rewatch it. I'd originally ranked it a 96 out of 100 when we first watched it. I'd actually went up to a 98 out of 100, so that's really awesome. So glad I really enjoyed it, even more than I thought I was going to be honest. So. And yeah, you can read my review, but truthfully, I think this might be one of the most fun movies ever. So let's move on to my favorite watch of the week, and it's been a few months since I've watched Across the Spider-Verse. Finally, rewatching it again for, I think, the 14th time or whatever, or something crazy like that. I mean, it's so fucking good. And the reason I watched this movie this month, because I wanted to watch it again before the end of the year, and for Christmas I got a Philips Hue light setup, including the sync box where it syncs with whatever I'm watching. This was the first movie I tried it with because, of course, this is absolutely magnificent and beautiful, and I'm very, very happy with the way they turned out. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk much about Spider-Verse. I've talked about it forever. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, happy holidays, sorry, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.